Okay, today we're going to take a look at MES 90 and 200's eBusiness Manager module, which we all normally refer to as eBM. So let's just get right into it. Now, what I'm going to be doing today in the demo is I'm playing both sides of the coin here. I am going to be demoing MES 90 from inside the company as if it was my software and my web store. And the company we're going to be using for that is the ABC Distribution Company. But then we're also going to be jumping out on the web and going to the web store and playing the customer that needs to purchase some goods from the ABC Distribution Company. And so we're not running around between a bunch of computers. We're going to emulate all of that in this one computer today, and it's actually pretty simple to do. So in order to accomplish that, the first thing I'll need to do is I need to start up my web engine. Now, in a normal configuration, you'd have your web server and your website out. Either it's some ISP site being hosted, or maybe you might have a server in your company that's hosting your website. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm starting up the web services to allow MES 90 to integrate with our website and produce and deal with the web store functions of MES 90 or the eBM module. So right now everything's up and running, and to actually go see that, we'll go jump out onto the web. So now I'm a customer on the outside that needs to come in and look at ABC Distribution's website. So I'll just go log into the website. I have it saved as one of my favorites. Now, MES 90's eBusiness Manager module can handle two types of websites, and it can do both or one or the other. And it's B2B, which stands for business to business, or B2C, which is business to consumer. This is a B2B website. When you're a B2B website, your customer needs to log in. In other words, you just don't let anybody come in and purchase from your web store. They have to be a known entity and be set up with you. In a B2C site, that would be more like, say, Amazon.com, where anybody can come in and place an order for something. So right now we're set up as B2B, so I'll have to log in. And our web store comes up. Now, for right now, we're just going to take a look at the initial interaction between the web store and MES 90 so you get the feel for that, and then we'll start digging deeper into how it all works. So the very first thing, obviously, I came into the web store. It dropped me off into the specials area, and I can go shopping now. It's showing me there's 70 caddies on hand, 162 ginger lamps. There's no AM, FM cassette stereos in play or in stock right now. But that's not what we want to look at. We'll come back and go shopping later on. Right now, what I want to do is go through some of the menu choices. The very first one, User, lets me maintain and monitor my own users. So I've been set up by ABC Distribution Company. They've set me up as a supervisor. By them setting me up as a supervisor, it allows me to have the ability to add and delete my own employees at will, and that would be the employees that I want to allow to go to ABC's website and purchase their goods and services. The alternative, if this wasn't available, would be every time I added an employee or every time I fired an employee, I'd have to call up ABC, get on the phone with my contact and say, hey Fred, can you add Artie? Hey Fred, can you take Artie off and add Mary? Hey Fred, can you take Mary off and add Nancy? So this way, by setting it up in this fashion, it allows your customer to self-maintain it. For example, I can go into my own record, and maybe I've changed to the 4th floor, so I'm going to update my address to show that I'm on the 4th floor now, so I'll submit this change. Now if I go back into users and pull Artie back up again, notice it doesn't say 4th floor. That's because all I've done is submit the change back to ABC's MES 90 system. It hasn't been approved and processed yet. The other thing I could do is I can even add new users because I've been set up as the supervisor. So in this case, I'm going to set up a new user. We'll set up Fred Flintstone. We're setting up his password to get into the website. Just filling out the rest of the information. And pretty much we're done, so we'll submit that. Again, if I go back to users, you still only see Artie, because all Artie did was submit the new user, Fred Flintstone, to ABC, and they have as yet not approved it and let it flow through. Also, what Artie's allowed to do is he can view his own customer information. Here's all of his customer information. Artie belongs to a company called American Business Futures, and he could correct this record if need be. For example, Artie sees that the fax number is missing. So he fills it in. Again, the beauty of this is that your customer can come in, add and delete their own users at will, as well as maintain their company record. Maybe their address changed, or like I just added the fax number. Again, notice the fax number hasn't been filled in because we've only submitted it. So at this point, we've kind of seen what I wanted you to look at. So we'll just shut the website down, and we'll go back into MES 90. So if I pull up MES 90 now and log in, so now I'm back inside the ABC distribution company, and I'm actually an employee that has authorized access into MES 90. So I'll pull up MES 90. And let's go see what Artie did. If we go into the modules, scroll to the bottom, we'll find the eBusiness Manager. And there's a whole lot that go through, and we're going to go through in a moment. But for right now, I'm trying to get you the feel for how it's integrated live and things are flowing in both directions. So if we go into main, very first menu choice we see is user ID maintenance. I could maintain my web users on my own if I wanted to. If I didn't want to set up any of my customers with a supervisor, then I would be insisting that my customers call me up, and then I would authorize employees to get into the website. So if we do that right now, I'll pull it up in list, and you notice Artie's the only user on file, and notice we don't have his 4th floor address yet, and Fred Flintstone wasn't in there also, because nobody at the ABC company yet has looked at those changes and approved them. Where that's done is right here. Notice you see it says user ID, customer, accept, reject entry. This is where all the user ID and customer account change requests are put. I call it a parking garage or a parking bay. So all the requests that were made out on the web have now been parked in this area waiting for somebody to deal with it. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not the only way that MES 90's eBusiness Manager works. You could set it up so those changes just automatically flow through without requiring anybody to look at them and approve them or reject them. It's all based on how you set up the eBusiness Manager module, and we'll get into that very shortly. But if I go into this customer accept reject entry area, there's the 3 changes that Artie made out on the website. We can even look at them. If we look at this first one, here's the Fred Flintstone record that he built. So right now it's just a pending transaction. I can accept it, and or I could reject it, and I could even pick out an email reason of why I'm rejecting it. Now right now there's no email reasons. We'll build some in a few seconds. But if I was going to reject Fred, I could tag a reason to it, and then when Artie gets the email back indicating that I rejected Fred, he would see the reason why. But in this case, I'll just accept it. So notice that transaction has been accepted. And I'll just accept this one. Let's see what this is. Let's look at it. Well, this is me changing my address to the 4th floor. So again, I'll just accept this. And what's this change that somebody pushed through? Oh, this was our change where we added the fax number to our company. Works for me, so I'll accept that. So all of them have been accepted. And now, just like a normal MES 90 program, the next step is to post an update. So we ask for the register. I'll preview it since we don't have a printer attached. And I'll actually expand this a little bit, blow it up so you can see it. All it is an audit file of what just took place, the dates and the times, and what the transactions were. You'll notice that Artie is linked to a contact in the ABF record called JR, but we didn't link Fred Flintstone to any user ID inside ABF. So it's just telling me that it's a not on file user. It's not a big deal. And do I want to update? I'll say yes. And it's done. Quickly, if we go back in here, you'll see that the parking garage or the transaction bay is empty. That's because they've all been processed. If we go into user maintenance, I see that I now have 2 users. If I look at Fred, here's all the information that Artie gave us via the website to build the Fred Flintstone record. And as a matter of fact, if we look at Artie's record, we see that Artie is now on the 4th floor. Better than that, if we go all the way back up to accounts receivable and pull up the company that Artie works for, which was ABF if you remember, if I go into the ABF customer record, we'll see that their fax number's been updated, again, which was pushed back from the website. So the customer is able to self-maintain their own users and maintain their customer record, as well as inquire on other things that we're going to take a look at right now. So what we'll do is we'll minimize MES90 and let's go back out on the website.